Don't worry about it. Thank you. Your name was?
Fred.
Pete. First I'm going to play the piano. No, I'm kidding. I don't need this, I don't think. I grew up in a large Italian family. If I didn't yell, no one heard me and I didn't eat, so. How is everybody? Everybody good? Everybody had a good time so far? Who wants more potatoes or pasta? Anyone? Go for it. Where's Mercedes? Mercedes, I read your I Woman. It is not cool to make the speaker cry. That was really unbelievable. I'm in a room filled with really, no, it's cool. I would have read the other ones, but we didn't have time. So, anyway, I've been learning a lot about this program and sitting at table one here. And I can't tell you how blown away I am by what I've seen and heard. And so I want to thank Dr. Moreau. By the way, Doctor or Superintendent Moreau, which do you prefer?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, Dr. Superintendent Moreau. How about that? And Principal Wininger and Gina, I've gotten spent some time with. She speaks Italian. I speak un poco Italiano. Did I say that right?
Bravo.
Grazie. And thank God the Wojs finally got here, because without them, none of us are here. But I want to start with thanking both Woj and Gail, Mrs. Dickow. I'm so happy, Woj. What the hell was that? I thought someone was laughing behind me. It wasn't even that funny yet. Thank God Woj is back home in Bristol and back with ESPN. We would try to get him for a long time, and we finally did, and I'm so happy about that. When he told me, and we knew this was going to happen, the first thing this dude said to me was, by the way, we're going to launch a writing program at my high school. First thing. Wasn't like, here's what I'm going to do and here's my job. First thing, we're going to launch this writing program at my high school, and I want a little help. Like when we announced that, that's like the most important thing to me, which is really tremendously amazing if you ask me. Gail, Mr. Dickow, has been 52 years, Adrian told me. You've been doing this. 50?
Yeah.
Round up, always round up, Gail. Unless it changed, then round down. But anyway, she's been doing it longer than I've been alive.
Really?
No. If you believe that, I've got a dangling participle I can tell you if you're interested. Not true, but I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I've known her a long time. Her daughter interned for me 1,000 years ago. Great lady. I don't know of anyone more dedicated to the youth of any community than her. And so it's amazing. Both, and Woj and her together are like the Curry and Durant of Bristol Academia. A scary combo, in all honesty. So who am I and why am I here? My name is Chris LaPlaca. I oversee corporate communications for ESPN. I've been there 38 plus years. I got out of there right out of college. It's a long story. I'm not going to bore you with it, but that's what I do. I'm a St. Bonaventure graduate like Woj. I've known this guy since he was a freshman in college. I've been involved with the sports journalism symposium there, and he came to the very first one we did. And I got to know him. He wasn't shy, walked right up. Known him ever since, and I'm really proud of what this guy does. And my role at ESPN, I'm involved in all parts of the company. It's a global company. The sun never sets on ESPN, so I'm always on. I'm happy to be here because I can leave the phone at the table. No one can bother me for at least the next 2+ hours. I'll be at this point. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I want to explain a little bit more to answer that question, who am I, why am I here? It's not an existential question. I have a countdown. Only 6 things though, because 10 stretch the conceit a little bit too long. Number 6, who am I, why am I here? Number 6, I work cheap. I'm living proof of the cliche, you get what you pay for, so I want to manage expectations down a little bit. Number 5, as I said, I've known Woj since he was a freshman in college. I love what he's doing here, and he asked me to help, and I was just tell me when and where. Number 4, I believe in helping young people too, and I love being around young people. The older I get, being around young, smart people kind of delays the aging process somewhat for me, which I really love, so thank you for that. Number 3, I wanted to give you a special treat. You're looking at a dinosaur. They still roam the earth. You will not work at the same company for 38 years. I have and will, and I hope, every day my key card works, it's a good day for me. But I always tell people this, I have the same work address for 38 years, but I've never worked for the same company from one year to the next. We continue to evolve, and we'll talk about evolution in a little bit. Number 2, I work in sports. And if dinner is free, I'm here, all right? And number 1, I'm a guy who used to be you, but not nearly as cool. And I knew that before I came in, and I've learned it even more since I've gotten here. I, like you, have come from a small town, but my town, 4,000 people. If you took the census, if you counted the people in the cars when they were stopped at the 2 red lights we had, then you'd get to 4,000. So I know, I feel like a kinship with all of you. Like you, I worked hard. I think I try to treat people with respect, try to give better than I got, and I can tell that that's who you are too from the conversation we've had over here at table 1. I took a risk at age 21, not much older than you are now, and that's why I'm standing here today, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Now, that's who I want you to see when you look at me. Here's, well, one other thing. I'm having a really good hair day, so I hope you appreciate that too. This is my better side, John. You got it? Good, okay, good. The dudes with the cameras always scare me. Stuff travels. And I like to be anonymous. It's just easier that way. Here's what I look at, see when I look at all of you. I see, like I said, people who are way ahead of me where I was when I was your age. It's really impressive. I see people who already know the value of hard work. I see people who have demonstrated the ability to meet challenges effectively. I see people who are likely and understandably very apprehensive about your next steps, but people who should be really confident about where you're going and have confidence in what you're going to do. And I see the future of Bristol and our state and our country and our culture and our society. And I have to say, that really makes me smile because I'm feeling good about the vibe in this room right now. So I thought a little bit about what I might say here tonight, who I was when I was you. I can remember. It was only, well, I'm not going to tell you how long ago it was, but it was a long time. And what was on my mind at that time, and what I've learned that might resonate with you in the me of yesteryear. I have to tell you, and this is not false modesty, I have almost never been the smartest guy at any room I've ever been in, and my wife and my 2 daughters tell me that all the time. I hear it all the time at home. Dad, we got this, just be quiet. But I have learned a few things over the years, some observations I want to share with you tonight. Number 1, I'd like you to think about being purposeful in everything you do. And what does that mean? And this is why I want to tell you this story. I'm here because of a decision I made in 30 seconds 40 years ago. There's the number. It's okay, I'm still here. I was a senior at St. Bonaventure University, and I was in a press box. And we had just beaten Villanova, last second shot, 1-2, homecoming weekend. My work is done. I look down on the floor, the press box was up high, and I see we're going to have Western New York's largest cocktail party. You know, it was homecoming weekend. So I'll come, the kegs and the tables, I see my friends lining up. Drinking age was 18 then, sorry parents, so those were the rules. And I think, I'm done, I'm gonna go out and celebrate because a guy who lived across the hall from me made the game-winning shot, and I'm happy, we won. But I look to my right, like from here over to where those plates are, and I see the SID from Villanova. And he's the sports information guy, and he's the one who has to service all the daily newspapers in Philly. There were 5 of them at the time, not one came to only in February. It was 28 degrees, you can't blame him. So he's trying to service all these newspapers with game stories and whatnot, and I'm just out the door, and I look over. And now, over the next 30 seconds, I'm having a good cop, bad cop conversation in my head. And the good cop said, good angel said, you know, if you go help that dude, you know, he might help you get a job. You graduate in May. And the bad angel said, well, yeah, but we won, and there's beer. So I actually stood there for 30 seconds. It felt like 30 minutes. And I wanted to help the guy. And as a result, when I graduated, he helped me get a job at Brown University. And I worked at Brown University for 9 months. I couldn't get in there, but they let me work there. and my boss at Brown at the time, ESPN had launched that year. And my boss was hired to be the first communications lead at ESPN. She's there a week, she goes, I need some help, can you come? I said, sure, I'm there. Took a little risk, because cable TV, what's that? Bristol, Connecticut, don't know where it is. 24-hour sports, that's nonsense. Oh yeah, that sounds good, let's go. So, you see what happened since. ESPN's become a pretty big global presence in the industry and around the world, and my life worked out great at the time. But the purposeful part, it comes down to this. I had an idea what I wanted to have happen in those 30 seconds, right? I said, maybe if I go speak to this and help him, he'll remember me and he'll help me get a job. So when I say be purposeful in everything you do, it's not always going to turn out to be, well, the rest of your life you'll have this wonderful, but maximize every moment. That's the point I wanted to get across to you. The other thing I talk about a lot is the notion of being curious. Curiosity. I again, hearing some of the stories, I don't think any of you have an issue there. But I think it's the most important quality a person can have as a colleague, as a friend. Once you get past honesty, integrity, and all those hard work, all those things, when I look to hire somebody, when I look to surround myself with people, I want people who are curious, because they never stop growing. And you want to be one of those people, and you want to be surrounded by some of those people, because they can help you grow as well. So as you think about where you want to go and how you want to get there, the notion of curiosity, I think, is really, really important. I was curious as a young guy, all the way up, like, we'd be on a Friday night hanging outside Patorti's, and people were just telling stories, and I would say, well, then what happened? Well, then, what did she say? Well, was he mad? They would say, you shut the up. It's just a story. I said, I wanted to know every little detail, you know, and that's actually sustained me in my life. Confidence. Be confident. It's another thing I'd like to kind of impart to you. My mom, when I went off, some of you, many of you are going off to college. I'll never forget this. She gave me a ruler. And in the middle of the, because she thought I would need one. Mom, it's college. I don't know that I'll need a ruler. But she gave me a ruler. She's my mom. I love her. She's great. So in the middle of the ruler, I don't remember the exact language, but I remember the theme. The theme was this: confidence. The thing you know, it's going to be all right, even if you don't know how. You know, that's confidence to her. I think confidence in my life, I define it a little bit differently. To me, it's a feeling you get after repetitive success. You know, you did it once, you can do it again, no matter what the challenge is. And doesn't mean you get it right every time. I fail a lot, I make mistakes a lot. But mostly the pattern in my life, and yours as well, at your young age, has been, I'm getting it done, right? And so now when I enter a new situation, I'm not that freaked out about it. And what are we going to do? Like, it's going to be fine. We're going to figure out why, because we always have. And I do think that's important. And I have to tell you that people like being around other people who are confident, right? It's attractive. And people want to be around that kind of person. It's not, and so if you can if you can walk in a room. My dad was a 5'8" short Italian guy. But he was the proudest guy, and he built the business with his own 2 hands. It was unbelievable. And he always would tell me, hey, when you walk in a room, act like you're 10 feet tall. You know, and he did, and it worked. And I have to tell you, too, I wasn't always like that. My dad preached it, I didn't always live it. So now, quick story, I'm 22 years old. I'm working at ESPN. We're doing a college football game in Athens, Georgia. My job, no one heard of us. What? Cable TV? What? No one knew. So I'm in a press box in Athens, Georgia, and my job is to walk around, talk to a whole bunch of those people and say, look, I'm with ESPN. We're going to be big someday. Let me tell you about it. Only guess what I did? Like, I'm the guy in high school who asked a girl to the prom. I snuck a note in her chemistry book. That's how shy I was. She said yes. We had a great time. I'm actually not a bad date. So, but now it's my job to go talk to strangers. So I'm over in the corner of the press box, and a guy named Furman Bisher. Remember that name? Furman Bisher was the preeminent college football writer in all of America. And he's got the best seat in the press box, 50-yard line, front row. He's got his Coke, he's got his hot dog, he's got his game notes, no computers. He had his typewriter. And my job, I got to go talk to Furman Bisher. So I promise you, I sat there for 5 minutes. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to go to start. Furman Bird. Hi, Chris. And I'm studying, and I needed a shower. So I finally got up the courage to do it. And it was a great conversation. And I did it again, and did it again, and did it again. By the 10th time I did it, I got there, right? I had realized that, it was going to be all right, and it was cool. And from that point forward, in any kind of interaction I ran into, I brought that level of confidence with me. And I'm telling you, people notice it, right? So I want you to think about that. Because I have to tell you, like you, I didn't come from Manhattan. There are apartment buildings in Manhattan with more people than my hometown. So but it ain't about that, really. It's you can be proud of where you come from, and you should be. Bristol's a wonderful community, and the values you get here are fabulous. And they're very similar to the values I learned when I grew up in a small town as well. So but you don't have to walk in with a small town mentality. And you guys have already proven what it is you're capable of, and it's tremendous. I talked a little bit a while ago about evolution. I'm sure you've studied it at some point in the Bristol school system. I have my own personal theory of evolution. I like to share it with young people. I speak a lot at colleges and whatnot, and so far, so good. The world evolves fast, as you know. You're a generation where things move a lot faster than they did for me, and even Woj, who's still younger than me, but still, I think he'd probably say the same thing. And so what do you have to do? You have to evolve faster, right? You just do. And what does that mean? I think you have to evolve skill sets. Look, there's a guy here, Nick. Where's Nick? Yeah, Nick, and we didn't have to stand up, but thank you. That was for me, Nick, not the rest of the people. Nick's on RPI. Nick took these pictures. He's in the writing initiative. I was looking at the cake. The cake was good, Gail. I know she made me eat the cake, by the way. Have some cake. I went back to time to all my Italian aunts and uncles. Eat. Okay, I'll eat it. I'm not hungry, but. And so you evolve your skill set a little bit. You're a great example of that. You have to, evolving your knowledge base, evolving how you problem solve. All those things, I think you should think about how you evolve. The most important thing I think I'd like you to ask you to think about is evolve how you think. We're living a time right now where everybody's yelling at each other, and nobody is listening. And nobody takes pains to see all sides, and you can consume media that just tells you what you want to hear. I think that's dangerous. I'm not going to get into it to preach to you, but no one evolves in that kind of environment. But the ones who do evolve are the ones who will navigate it successfully. And the other thing I'd like to kind of say to you, and I think is an important thing in the notion of evolution, is listening. I tell people I'm in communications, oh, you must be a great talker. I guess. The best part of communication is listening. It's an underappreciated part, really. You can, if you watch television, you see interviews. Woj doesn't do this. You ask somebody a question, you could say, well, yeah, yesterday I stole $1 million and I had sent it to a bank in Switzerland. But that's the answer, and the person might say, well, then what happened in the third quarter, Bill? Because they're not listening to the answer. They're just trying to make sure they get their questions down, they have it scripted. You'll go farther and you'll go faster if you can synthesize a whole bunch of information the way this guy does, and bring all those conflicting viewpoints into some sort of narrative that you can understand, figure out the best path forward, and I believe this writing initiative, I keep looking at the sign like this, you guys know what the hell it says, the writing initiative, I have to remind myself I'm old. But if you already have proven you have those skills to be able to do that. And I didn't talk about evolution the way I can is because I didn't used to be that person. For the longest time at ESPN, I found my niche and I was good at it. And then the company started to go in all these different directions. And people who were my bosses or my mentors or colleagues would say, hey, Chris, you know, we're going over here now. You need to come along with us. And I would say, yeah, but I'm really good at this over here. I'm going to stay right here for now, right? I was a little nervous to go beyond what I didn't know. I was the king of the yeah buts tribe, and it held me back. You do not want to be a yeah butt. Yeah, but I want to stay right here because I know this. You want to be the person who's over on the other side of the room. Being present is something also I've learned since I was you that I wanted to share. A long time ago I read a book called The Celestine Prophecy, and you could read it in about 3 hours. It's a worldwide bestseller in about 1,000 different languages, maybe Italian, I don't know. It's basically an adventure story that gets across certain themes, and one of them stuck with me a lot. So I forget exactly, you know, it's a long time, but I remember the message. Some guy, I think from Chicago, went on vacation in Peru. Somehow he got separated from his group. Now he's lost in Peru. How the hell am I going to get home, right? So he's going through mountains and jungles, and he's trying to get back. And every time he gets to the next stage, some event happens, or some person enters his life. And because he was open to the possibilities of that new event or that new person, he got to the next stage. And eventually, he got home to Chicago. Now, if you read the book, it's probably Cincinnati, and maybe he didn't get lost, but that's the message, and that's what happened. My takeaway from it was be open. Woj knows this. I don't know who said this, but there's an adage in basketball, you miss every shot you don't take. And what I'm trying to get across to you is you miss every opportunity you don't see. So we get caught up in our day-to-day life. You know, I got to get the milk on the way home. I got to get my kid to soccer practice. I got all these things. We all have our stuff, right? But if you're open to what might happen to a new person entering your life, or a new circumstance that you find yourself, and you really are present in that moment, you don't have any idea where that might take you. But it's one thing I've learned over time, and I want to share it with you here today. You know, you're all very successful in what you do, right? A bunch of you are going to get awards. Well, you just signed a bunch of them. I was a witness. And that's tremendous. But I know too as well from talking to Adrian and other people that a lot of you have dealt with challenges, and in any number of ways. And look where you are. You're at Chipley. It's a gorgeous night. We're having a nice meal, and you're going to be honored here tonight. So you already know about meeting challenges and exceeding and getting through problems. And you already know, because you've lived it, it's going to happen again. All right? And so the one thing that I just want to say, I don't need to belabor because I think you already know it is, when you make mistakes or when you fail, you won't be defined by it. What you want to be defined by, and I've learned this as well in my life, is how fast you get up and how fast you put it behind you and how fast you learn. People are very forgiving. You forgive yourself, you know. But I'll tell one story. I was of a young person just like you. This guy was a senior on the swim team at Farmington High School. My daughter was on the team, and every year we'd go in February to Fort Lauderdale, and they would train for a week at the Swimming Hall of Fame. And this kid was a senior captain of the team, and he was supposed to be a leader. And it wasn't on my watch, thank God. There was another chaperone. But he got, I won't get into it, but he got in several little trouble. And he felt like, I saw him over there, and he was going to be sent home. Coach had called his parents. And I'd never seen a kid so distraught. I told him, same thing I just told you, look, you messed up. It's going to happen. What are you going to do about it? And you're going to let this define you, or you're going to come back? And what are you going to do? I asked him, and he was so scared, but he looked me right in the eye and he said, I want to make this right. And he did. and he went on and he had a great college career, and so I just wanted to tell that story because maybe that'll be you someday. I haven't led a perfect life, but I'm standing here right now, and I just think that's important. I want to give you some practical advice. I was asked to speak to the Rutgers football team about a month and a half ago. They do a thing every Wednesday in the off-season. They bring people from the outside world in to kind of talk to them, because not all of them are going to the NFL, and their coaching staff knows that. So they couldn't get anybody else, so I came that day, and I told them this. I said, guys, put the phone down once in a while. Put your phone down. And develop personal relationships. If you look, I do this. I ran into someone in New York City street the other day. I almost knocked them over because I'm late on my phone. I'm an idiot. So do what I say, not what I do. But you can get caught up in it, right? And you miss the opportunity to build personal relationships. And if you, so it's really, technology is ruling the world. Decisions are made by technology. We make decisions. I got here by technology. I put Waze on what's the best way to get, I've been here 100 times. What's the best way to get here? I'm relied on my phone, even though I could probably drive here in my sleep. I wish I hadn't done that now, but it was a good story to tell as I get into this thing, so I'm glad I did. But the point is this, and I told them this, is if you have to build personal relationships with people, because it's just critical. People still, for now, running the world and making decisions about other people. And if you don't know how to talk to them, if you don't know how to relate to them, you're going to get lost, and somebody else will get there ahead of you. And they all looked at me like I was crazy, and maybe I am, because I'm older than you and whatnot. But I'm just telling you, if you ever sit with Woj and try to have lunch, he is always on his phone. Amy could tell us stories, I'm sure, but he breaks more stories than 15 other people combined, and because it's fast and furious, the text messaging. But when you think about it, why he does that is because he has spent years developing trusts and relationships and a back and forth with a whole bunch of people who know him by name, probably know his kids' names, probably met Amy. And they trust him, and that's why he's the best. There is nobody even close to this guy in our industry. And it used to make me angry when he worked at Yahoo. He wasn't at ESPN, so now I can like him again. So he'll be the first to tell you. That doesn't happen because he texted a guy and they go, oh, who's this? I'll guess I'll text him back. It's because they know who he is. And I said this to the guys at Rutgers as well, and will say to you. A text message has never given anyone an opportunity. Not one time. People do that. People give other people opportunities. So I just put the phone down once in a while. The other thing I want to tell you, I told my daughter this, I tell any other young people who come sit in my office, I get asked a lot to speak to kids. First semester, freshman year in college is really a critical time for the next 4 years of your life. And I really feel like those 3 or 4 months, if you do it right, you're gonna have a great, not everyone here is going off to college, but many of you are. And so I met kids my freshman year. They weren't there for the same reasons I was there. And they were gonna have a good time. And they were going to study a little bit, but hey, freedom, we're going to have a good, got it. I'm here to have a good time too. But you gotta be a bunch of new people. And not everybody has the same ideas you have. So here's what I'm going to tell you. And I told my daughter this, I'm going to tell you. If you get the right habits down, right study habits, how to spend your time, who to hang out with, have your antenna up, and you get it right in those first 3 or 4 months, the next 3.5 years are going to be a blast. And they should be. It's the best time of your life. But I just gave that advice, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell this story. You can do it all. I did. There was a band called Boston, which was popular when I was in college, and I loved it. It was great, hard rock, classic rock. And they were coming near me for a concert. My friend Chico Decio comes. Hey, I got a couple tickets. You want to go? Geez, I got a final tomorrow. I don't know. What is my major? So I thought this is how I thought about it. I said, all right, 10 years from now, am I going to remember what final I took tomorrow morning? The answer was no. Well, I remember I went to the Boston concert. Yeah, I went to the Boston concert. I got a good job. I'm standing here. You can do it. But you got to get it right in that first semester. I want to make sure. I like to tell that to young people at where you are, because no one told me that. I just kind of figured it out. My dad, mom raised me right. I'm going to end now, and I did say, like, you got a big program coming, right? We got a lot of stuff to do, but she said, I have to pay you money? Oh, she gave me one of these. I don't know what the hell she was doing. Okay, we're going to give out some money. My money, or well, just somebody. I'm happy to answer a few questions if you have them, but I'll hang out for a while if you want later on as well. I'm having a good time here, but most of you are getting ready for your next excellent adventure, and I know that you're ready. I know you're going to work hard. I know you're going to have a blast. And the only thing I want to say to you is I hope to come back, and I believe I will, one day, not in the distant future probably, where one of you will be standing here. And it'll probably be a long line of people who should be. So I want to thank you all for having me here tonight. I want to congratulate all of you for what you've accomplished and the inspiration you've given to me. I spent a lot of time with nonsense in my professional life. Then you come to a place like this and you see stuff that's pure and that's cool, and it makes me happy. So I want to congratulate all of you and thank you for having me. That's it, right? You want cake? I'm done. Do we have questions, or do you want to do that, or we got a long program? Does anybody want to? I told them at the table I like a dialogue better than monologue, but I maybe went too long and we're already deep in the evening. All right, fine, I'll hang out later. Good luck, you guys.